The Cosmic Café. The Galactic Café hummed with the gentle buzz of a dozen different species enjoying their morning routines. Neon lights cast colorful shadows across chrome tables where tentacled merchants shared gossip with floating philosophers, while brooding mercenaries nursed their drinks in darker corners. Behind the counter, Kip wiped down coffee machines with practiced ease. His oil-stained overalls and calloused hands told the story of a lifetime spent fixing things, engines, electronics, and occasionally, broken spirits. The cafe was his sanctuary, a place where he could serve something other than repair bills. At the far end of the counter sat a figure that made even the seasoned space travelers glance twice. The being was magnificent and terrible, an alien dragon whose iridescent scales caught the neon light like captured starfire. Cosmic energy flickered along its form, and its ancient eyes held depths that spoke of eons and empires. But what struck Kip most wasn't the creature's obvious power. It was the loneliness that seemed to emanate from it like heat from a dying star. "You look like you could use some company," Kip said, approaching with a steaming cup of his best brew. "Coffee's on the house." The dragon's eyes widened, surprise flickering across features that had forgotten what kindness looked like. "You would offer me refreshment? Without knowing who I am?" Kip shrugged, setting the cup down. "Everyone needs a good cup of coffee, friend. Name's Kip. I am Xanther." The name came out carefully, as if he'd almost said something else. "It has been many cycles since someone offered me simple hospitality." As Xanther lifted the cup with surprisingly delicate claws, Kip noticed the way other patrons had begun to whisper. 3 figures in dark uniforms had entered, their eyes fixed on the dragon with unmistakable intent. "Looks like your morning's about to get interesting," Kip muttered, recognizing trouble when he saw it. Shadows of the past. The 3 agents moved with predatory precision, their uniforms bearing insignias Kip didn't recognize but instinctively distrusted. Their leader, a sharp-faced man with cold eyes, spoke into a communication device. "Target confirmed. The exiled Emperor has been located." Xanther's massive form tensed, cosmic energy beginning to flicker more intensely along his scales. His voice, when he spoke, carried the weight of lost worlds. "I had hoped for more time." "Emperor?" Kip raised an eyebrow, though somehow the revelation didn't shock him as much as it should have. "Well, that explains the dramatic entrance music these guys seem to be hearing." For the first time since entering the cafe, Xanther's lips curved in what might have been a smile. "Indeed. I once commanded star fleets and shaped the destinies of entire systems. Now I am a fugitive, dethroned by those who promised loyalty but delivered betrayal." The agents were closing in, other patrons of the cafe beginning to clear out with the practiced haste of beings who knew when to avoid interstellar incidents. "The fall was not gentle," Xanther continued, his eyes distant. "When the council turned against me, they stripped away everything, my crown, my armies, my world. They left me with only my life, thinking it a mercy." Kip checked his toolbox, a battered case that had belonged to his father. Inside, among the conventional tools, lay something special, a device his father had called the Tchaikovsky arms, a set of miniature mechanical appendages capable of repairs so delicate they bordered on the miraculous. "Mercy, huh?" Kip's hand rested on the toolbox handle. "Sounds like they didn't know you very well. Sometimes the thing that's supposed to break you just makes you stronger." The lead agent stepped forward, weapon drawn. "Xanther of the Crimson Nebula, by order of the Galactic Council, you will surrender yourself for judgment." Xanther rose to his full, impressive height, cosmic fire beginning to dance around his claws. "I think not. Flight through the stars. This way." Kip shouted, grabbing his toolbox as chaos erupted in the cafe. Xanther's roar shook the building as cosmic energy lashed out, sending the agents scrambling for cover behind overturned tables. They burst through the back exit into the dim alley where Kip's ship sat waiting, a battered freighter that looked like it had been through every asteroid field in known space. "Twice. She doesn't look like much," Kip admitted as they ran up the boarding ramp, "but she's got it where it counts." The ship's interior was a testament to Kip's skills, jury-rigged systems and patched components that somehow worked better than factory specifications. As the engines roared to life, the agents poured out of the café behind them. "Where can we go that they won't follow?" Xanther asked, settling into the co-pilot's seat with surprising grace for his size. "Depends," Kip replied, hands dancing over the controls as they lifted off. "How badly do they want you?" Energy blasts lit up the viewport as 3 sleek pursuit ships rose from concealed positions around the café. That badly, apparently. The chase was immediate and intense. Kip's freighter groaned under the strain as he pushed her through maneuvers that should have been impossible for a ship her size. Behind them, the pursuit ships maintained their distance, content to herd rather than destroy. "They want me alive," Xanther observed. "The Council needs a show trial to legitimize their rule. Well, let's not give them the satisfaction." Kip's hands moved to a hidden panel, revealing the Tchaikovsky arms control system. "Time to see what these little beauties can really do." He activated the device, and throughout the ship, miniature mechanical arms emerged from concealed panels. They began working on the engines and systems with impossible precision, optimizing everything in real time. The freighter's performance jumped dramatically. What had been a desperate escape became a masterful evasion as they wove through an asteroid field that would have challenged the most skilled pilots. "Remarkable," Xanther breathed. "Your father's gift is more than it appears." "Story of my life," Kip grinned. "Nothing's ever what it seems on the surface." Behind them, one of the pursuit ships clipped an asteroid and spun out of control. The remaining 2 fell back, unable to match their newfound speed and agility. The revelation. They found refuge in an abandoned mining station on the edge of known space, its corridors echoing with the ghosts of long-dead miners. As Kip worked on ship repairs, Xanther stared out at the star field beyond. "Your device," the dragon said finally. "It's not merely a tool, is it?" Kip looked up from his work, the Tchaikovsky arms still active around him like mechanical extensions of his will. "Dad always said it was special. Found it in a derelict ship when he was young. Never could figure out who made it." "I can," Xanther's voice was soft with memory. "Those are architect constructs, technology from the race that seeded the galaxy with intelligent life eons ago. They were thought to be extinct. The revelation hung between them like a bridge across an impossible chasm." Kip set down his tools, suddenly seeing his father's gift in an entirely new light. "The architects vanished before my empire was even a dream," Xanther continued. "But they left behind traces, technologies that could reshape reality itself. The Council didn't just want me gone, Kip. They wanted what I possessed. Ancient knowledge, artifacts like yours. So that's why they're so determined to catch you." "Partly. But there's more." Xanther turned from the viewport, his cosmic eyes ablaze with purpose. "I wasn't just an emperor, Kip. I was a guardian. The architects left behind something far more dangerous than tools or weapons. They left behind a choice." Before Kip could ask what he meant, alarms began blaring throughout the station. On the scanner, a massive dreadnought was dropping out of hyperspace, 10 times the size of any ship Kip had ever seen. "The Council's flagship," Xanther growled. "They're done playing games." The communication system crackled to life with a voice cold as deep space. "Attention station inhabitants. You have 30 minutes to surrender the fugitive Xanther. Failure to comply will result in the station's destruction." Kip looked at his companion, this exiled emperor who had shared coffee and conversation like any ordinary being. "So what's this choice the architects left behind?" Xanther's smile was terrible and beautiful. "Whether the next phase of galactic evolution happens through wisdom, or through force. The Council chose force. But perhaps, with an architect device and a human's ingenuity. We could give them a third option," Kip finished, understanding dawning in his eyes. "The choice." 28 minutes later, Kip's freighter launched from the mining station with the massive dreadnought in pursuit. But this time, they weren't running. The Tchaikovsky arms had interfaced with systems throughout the ship, creating a network of impossible complexity. More than that, they had connected with Xanthar himself, his cosmic energy flowing through architect conduits in patterns that defied conventional physics. The architects designed their technology to work with consciousness itself, Xanthar explained as energy coursed through the ship. Not just to repair or build, but to reshape the very foundations of reality. On the view screen, the dreadnought's weapons powered up, enough firepower to reduce planets to dust. But as the energy beams lanced out, something extraordinary happened. The weapon's fire slowed, stopped, then gently dispersed into harmless light. Throughout the dreadnought, systems began shutting down one by one as the architect technology spread like benevolent wildfire. "What's happening?" came the panicked voice from the flagship. Kip's voice was calm as he responded, "You're being offered a choice." The architects left behind a gift, the ability to transcend conflict entirely. To evolve beyond the need for domination and control. Aboard the dreadnought, the council members felt something they hadn't experienced in centuries: genuine peace. The artificial ambition and manufactured conflict that had driven their politics simply faded. In its place came clarity, wisdom, and an understanding of what civilization could become. "The Empire was never about power," Xanthar said, his voice carrying across all frequencies. "It was about shepherding our species towards something greater. I failed because I tried to force evolution. But perhaps the lesson was that it must be offered, not imposed." One by one, ships throughout the galaxy began experiencing the same transformation as the architect network awakened. It wasn't conquest or control, it was an invitation to become something more than they had been. In the months that followed, Xanthar returned not as an emperor, but as a teacher. The council that had overthrown him evolved into a genuine cooperative of species working toward common goals. Wars ended not through victory or defeat, but through a simple recognition that they were no longer necessary. And at the center of it all, in a small café that had become a pilgrimage site for beings across the galaxy, Kip continued to serve coffee to anyone who needed it. The Tchaikovsky arms had returned to their quiet existence as repair tools, but their greater purpose had been served. "You know," Kip said one day as he and Xanthar shared their morning coffee, "I always figured you just needed a friend." Xanthar's laugh rumbled like distant thunder, but warm now instead of ominous. "Perhaps that's what we all needed. Someone willing to offer kindness without condition, wisdom without force." The galaxy spun on, no longer driven by ancient hungers for power and dominance, but by curiosity, compassion, and the simple recognition that some problems could be solved with nothing more than a good cup of coffee and the willingness to see others as they truly were. Sometimes the greatest revolutions began with the smallest gestures. And sometimes, the future of entire civilizations could change with nothing more than a human being kind to a stranger. The end.